Another night, another wave of voices, another showdown in the streets of Jerusalem. Outside the Israeli Knesset, the nation's parliament, a crowd surged once again. Flags flying, chants rising, streets overflowing. This isn't a one-off protest. This is a movement, a signal, a symptom of something far deeper in Israeli society. And tonight we ask, what are they fighting for? Who are they fighting against? And how far will this go before it breaks something bigger? This isn't the first time protesters have gathered outside the Knesset. In fact, it's become a recurring image over the past year. And each time, the message gets louder, even if the government tries to tune it out. Tens of thousands of people packed the square and surrounding streets, waving Israeli flags, holding signs with slogans, drums, megaphones, and chants of democracy, democracy. There's a routine to it now. The lights, the barricades, the police presence, but the emotion is anything but routine. It's electric, raw, on edge. Israel is boiling. And the streets of Jerusalem have become its pressure valve. Let's break it down. This isn't about a single law or decision. It's about a broader crisis of legitimacy and trust in Israel's political leadership. At the center of it all, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the most polarizing figure in modern Israeli politics. His coalition, comprised of religious, nationalist, and far-right factions, has pushed aggressively for judicial reforms that critics say would undermine democratic checks and balances. Specifically, they want to limit the Israeli Supreme Court's ability to strike down laws, give the government more control over judicial appointments, and weaken legal oversight of elected officials. Supporters say it's necessary to restore balance between the courts and elected representatives. Opponents? They call it a soft coup, a power grab disguised as reform. And the people in the streets? They're not buying the spin. They see this as an attack on the very foundation of Israeli democracy. This isn't a fringe movement. This is mainstream, cross-generational, and multi-sectoral. We're talking about military reservists, some of whom have refused to report for duty in protest. Tech entrepreneurs warning about capital flight. Teachers, lawyers, doctors, students, entire professions marching arm in arm. Even former Mossad and Shin Bet officials, who've broken with tradition to speak publicly against the government's moves. This isn't just Tel Aviv liberals. This is a broad slice of Israeli society saying, enough. So why double down? Why keep pushing reforms that clearly ignite backlash? For Netanyahu, it's about two things: political survival and ideological legacy. Facing multiple corruption trials and an increasingly fractured political landscape, Netanyahu's coalition is his shield. And that coalition demands judicial reform in exchange for support. There's also the deeper ideological war. His allies believe the judiciary has long been a left-leaning stronghold, blocking conservative and religious legislation. They want a state that reflects Jewish identity more than liberal democratic values. Netanyahu is caught between his legal problems, his coalition's demands, and the fury of the streets. So far, he's chosen to side with power over peace. Here's where things get dangerous. Israel's societal fabric is being tested in ways unseen since its founding. The judicial overhaul isn't just a political disagreement. It's threatening to fracture core institutions. Military readiness is being tested as reservists revolt. Foreign investment is wavering. Diaspora support, especially from American Jewry, is splintering. Civil obedience is being challenged. And yet, each week, the government seems to inch closer to passing key parts of the overhaul. One misstep, one moment of violence, or state overreach, and this could escalate far beyond protest. What's impressive is how organized this movement has become. There are weeknight protests, weekend marches, flash mobs, traffic shutdowns, and coordinated strikes across multiple industries. Online networks distribute legal information, safety tips, and protest schedules. Lawyers on standby. Medics embedded. Drone footage uploaded in real time. This isn't chaos. This is calculated, resilient civil resistance. And the longer it goes, the stronger the coordination becomes. And why should the rest of the world care? Because Israel is one of the West's closest allies in a volatile region. What happens in Jerusalem doesn't stay in Jerusalem. The U.S. sends billions in military aid. European governments rely on Israel's intelligence cooperation. And regional players, from Iran to the Gulf states, are watching closely. A destabilized Israel affects everything from arms deals to counterterrorism to diplomatic normalization with Arab states. If the protests grow into national paralysis, or worse, civil conflict, the ripple effects will be global. Mainstream coverage outside Israel has been muted at best. It's often framed as just another Middle East tension, as if this is business as usual. But make no mistake, this isn't about foreign wars or rocket fire. It's internal combustion. Israel is in the midst of its own constitutional crisis, and many in the media don't know how to cover it. It's not left versus right. It's not religion versus secularism. It's people versus power. And it's happening right now, in broad daylight. So what now? There are three possibilities. The protests force the government to back down or water down the reforms. The reforms pass, and the protests evolve into deeper institutional resistance, possibly even labor shutdowns or mass refusals of service. Or worst case, violence erupts, either from provocateurs, overreach by security forces, or political opportunists. In all scenarios, the social contract in Israel will not be the same. This is no longer just about judicial reform. It's about what kind of country Israel will be in 10, 20, or 50 years. When people gather in the streets night after night, they're not doing it for a trending hashtag. They're doing it because they believe their country is slipping away, and no one inside the halls of power is listening. Outside the Knesset, the voices are loud. Inside, the arrogance is louder. But history is written by the movements that refuse to go home. And in Israel, the people aren't going home just yet. If you found this breakdown helpful, drop a comment. Should Netanyahu back down? Or is this reform overdue? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell for more fearless, on-the-ground geopolitical analysis. This is Libertarian Uncensored, and this is the real game of nations.